So, Anshula Sirani, what just happened?
What just happened, Anushka?
Okay, hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel.
I know we've been away for a while, but we couldn't be back with anything better than this.
So today was a big day, and we just, like you can see,
I'm almost about to cry, but I'll control.
Yeah, like you can see on our video title and thumbnail, we got the opportunity to interview Vishal Batra, the twin brother of Vikram Batra. If you watch the movie Shershaah, he's been that one army officer that sacrificed his life during the Kargil War, and
a lot of the main reason why Shershaah, the movie, came out is because his brother was so determined to share his story, his brother's brave story, to the world. So we got a chance to speak to him on the occasion of Republic Day,
and we're really happy that we could remember and celebrate Captain Vikram Batra's life on a day like this, which is Republic Day. So happy Republic Day to everyone, and we really hope that you can take away something from this conversation that we had with Mr. Vishal Batra. And
yeah, a happy Republic Day to everyone. He has shared a lot of insights of his childhood, his life, his relationship with his brother Vikram Batra, and a lot of life lessons that we can learn and be proud of being born in a country like India. So I really hope you guys enjoy this conversation, and please share it with as many people as you can, because this means the world to us, and for us to spread his message is a great opportunity, and we're so privileged and grateful that he gave us this opportunity. So without further ado,
let's get into the video.
Hi guys, today with us we have a very important person. I don't think there's anybody in this country who doesn't resonate or recognize the name Shershaah. So today we have with us someone who's left no stone unturned when it comes to telling his brother's brave story and supreme sacrifice. Thank you so much, Vishal Batra, sir, for coming live with us and doing this with us. And sorry, we've been spamming you with a lot of emails. You've been very patient. Thank you so much.
We're really grateful you could make it. And we have
no, absolute, my pleasure. It's absolute
on the day of Republic Day. So yeah.
Sorry. Thank you so much for inviting over. In fact, it's my pleasure. I don't even have to say sorry. And generally, I don't access my mails too often, but I think you girls were lucky enough that I could go through your mail and I could respond on time,
Okay, so we'll jump into our first question, and that is that
sure.
Since it's Republic Day and it's the occasion that the entire country comes and celebrates, so are there any incidents wherein you, your family, and Captain Vikram Batra in your childhood days, celebrated important days like this? Like, how did you celebrate it? What was your take on it?
Generally, it used to happen that, during school days, every important day, whether you talk of 26th of January or 15th August, when the flag used to get hoisted in the school, is the time, we used to participate in some of the cultural events, is what I remember very vividly. And of course, I was a boy captain, Vikram was on house prefect. And of course, we had the duties centered around that, how to really manage the house crowd and the school crowd also primarily, with those cultural programs and primarily all centered around patriotism. But the most fond memory for me for 26th of January would be when Vikram went as a NCC cadet participating in the 1994 Republic Day parade on 26th of January. And I still remember that we were in DV College, Chandigarh, and he left, I think almost close to 11 days beforehand. So I think he left around 15th of January 94, because there's a lot of rehearsal which keeps on going around, right? And he used to, really used to give me a call around and tell how he's been practicing in that Rajpath entire parade ground, and how he was really enjoying the camp there, which is primarily, they put those camps where you typically go and spend the day in a tent then, and you get up early in the morning, go for a parade rehearsal. I think that's the most beautiful memory I have. And post that, when he'd come down, and of course he was a part of the beating retreat ceremony which happens on 29th of January. So that's what you typically remember, because every time 26th January, you always end up seeing two of the live PVCs, rather three of the live PVCs now, right? Honorary Captain Bana Singh ji, Sanjay Kumar ji, and Yogendra Yadav ji, who typically give a salute, at the Rajpath parade on 26th January every year. And I wish Vikram was there to witness it live all by himself. So that's the way we remember him.
That's beautiful, sir.
Yeah, and talking about PVC, in the movie they show that both of you grew up watching this show called Param Vir Chakra, and
Yeah.
Captain Vikram Batra went on to become a Param Vir Chakra. So I wanted to ask, what was this one quality that made him stand out from the rest? Because he was a normal human being who rose to the occasion of greatness when the situation demanded. So what did he have that made him stand out?
See, I'll tell you, he was a go-getter right from the day one. Even when we were in the school, we used to play a lot of sports. We both represented our school in all India nationals in table tennis, in judo, in karate. Vikram was also nationals in youth parliament competition. And he always ended up believing in leading from the front is I think, one of the most beautiful qualities he had. While he had a lot many, right? He was a front runner in everything, whatever he used to do. Go-getter, very, very courageous and a bold guy. A guy who would always stay with his decisions once he's taken it, irrespective of, what is the outcome, right? But the most, adorable quality he had that, one, he was definitely a go-getter, and two, he was a wonderful human being. Wonderful human being. जिसका कहना यारों का यार था वो. He was like a brother's brother, a sister's brother, a son for the mom and dad, a friend's friend who would do anything for his people he used to really love around, right? So there were some of the qualities. These were some of the best qualities, I think. I think being a great human being, all right? And as I mentioned that during his school days also, he always used to lead from the front. अगर उसने एक बार target ले लिया कि मुझे ये target पूरा करना, then there was no looking back. Irrespective, as I said, irrespective of what the outcome is, right? So that's what I believe is one of the best qualities what Vikram had.
That's really inspiring. I think we've seen like a gist of that in the movie as well. And also
Yeah.
talking about the movie, right? So we did watch one of your interviews wherein you mentioned that the film, which is for 2 hours, does not really talk about the entire life of Vikram Batra ji. So
Yeah.
we want to know from you, what are the incidents that that didn't make it to the movie? What is something about him that we did not watch in the movie and we don't really know? So if there's something you can share with us.
Okay, some of them I can talk about is that, of course, the passing out of the, army parade was not shown, right? And I still remember when we actually watched him on 6th of December 1997 taking that oath when he was getting commissioned on, in the Indian military academy Dehradun. That's been missing. We didn't show anything about his commando course, and I remember my last meeting with him was on 9th of March 99, right? And he was coming back post finishing of his commando at your own state, Karnataka, in Belgaum, the commando school Belgaum, right? And then I remember Prahar used to be one of our favorite movies, and we had a lot of chat and discussion around that movie because this was one of the favorite movies for both of us. Prahar was one of them, Top Gun was one of them, and probably the movie centered around the armed forces, right? That is not being shown. We had a lot of bonding with each other. There were a lot of scenes which we shot primarily to show the bond between the two brothers, but since the movie had to be centered around him for his character, while we shot those scenes primarily that how our childhood was spent around in Palampur, and primarily not at the time when we were too young, I wouldn't say adolescents, but when we were in the school and college, and I still possess that bike what Vikram used to drive, that Yamaha RX100 is still with me. We had shot some scenes for that specific covering that bike. That is not being shown, right? A lot about his school life is not shown. A lot about his college life of DB College Chandigarh is not shown. As I mentioned, that he was a NCC best cadet for 2 consecutive years in Punjab Directorate. That is not being shown. A lot could have been shown, but then end of the day you have to understand that the audience would not love a movie which is very longish. You have to restrain it and restrict it to 2 hours or 2 or 10 minutes. So we always end up believing that in case you have to know the real life of what Vikram was right from his childhood days till the time he attained martyrdom, I think it has to be a series on him. This.
Yeah.
So you never know. Fingers crossed, inverted commas, that we might get out of the series sometime later in the future.
I think we would absolutely love that.
Yeah, I think everybody would love that. Also, talking about the movie, I'm sure after after the movie release, you might have got a lot of messages and emails regarding the movie. And how was it to relive everything and to see your brother on the big screen? How did you soak it all in?
See, there are two sides. Anchal, there are two sides to it. One side is the side of taking the product. That I'm fortunate to be blessed to be Vikram's sibling, right? And I always end up believing, I wish he was there to see all what he's done for the country. To be very honest, while I personally believe that it was my moral responsibility to carry forward his legacy, but I always, still believe that I wish he was around physically. While I know that mentally, emotionally, he's around. Right? I don't think that he's missing out in my life anyhow, or in our lives. Reason is hardly there's a day which goes by without remembering him. Coming down to the second part, there's a lot of pain attached to it. Just to talk about it, we have to go back to the same flash war, right? And losing a sibling at such a young age, where we were best of the companions, best of the buddies, best of the confidentes, with the age catching up, it is becoming difficult because you miss him so much, right? That I wish he was there around me, right? It's not about holding on to the life as such, but then you always need a companion, which is a lifelong companion, where you could discuss anything without any Vincent fence around, right? So that's the weaker side of this thing, right? But to me, it's not about that. I started getting a lot of mails or messages only post the movie. I've been visiting Kargil for almost close to last 15 years now, right? Every alternate year I've been going, and being an identical twin, even prior to the movie, a lot of times people used to recognize me when I'm taking a flight, or when I'm taking a train, or when I'm in a shopping mall. Hey, you look like Vikram Adu's brother. When I don't think that when we even had a dream of making a movie. So that's been something like which has been a part of my life now, for a pretty long time. But yes, post movie, of course, it has taken a different turn. A lot of people will come down and talk to me and want to listen. His story, how was his childhood, how was the bond between the two brothers, how was the bond of the brother with the sisters, with the parents around, about his school life, college life, his romantic life, everything around. So that's a bit of a side which has changed. But again, end of the day, I would say I wish he was there to see or witness it by himself. That's something which is really painful.
Just a random question: which is your most favorite song from the movie?
All of them, yeah. I wouldn't say. I think I think you'll have to again read it in the context of that. When you get into when he gets into a romantic life, the song has taken its own turn. That how both of them were thick with each other as friends, and then of course when you see the last scene when we got the coffin and Mera Dil Bharya, right? Of course, that's a very, very emotional song, and it typically takes into a very different tangent, right? So for me, every song is something what I can relate to because we've been together for 24 years. So picking up one song, I don't think that'll be right on my part to say, okay, one song is good, the other song is bad. I think Rata Lambia, of course, if I have to look it from my own life personally, I wish the nights had been so longer that I keep on waiting that someday would it be possible that he's going to be back? So you have a context which you relate to his life, and there's a context of the songs which you relate to, which I can relate to my personal life of not seeing him physically around. So I would say that all of the songs are very, very beautifully done, and I think they make a real good connect with the respective scenes what have been shown in the movie.
Also, sir, since like you've spoken so much about your bond with Vikram Batra ji, and I think somewhere we connect to that so much is because we share the same equation, and that's why
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
That's why we absolutely love even listening to your interviews and all of that.
Thank you so much.
If you could let us know a little bit more about if you guys used to fight, or if you used to share secrets that you never tell anyone. So what was a few incidents like with him, or if you could just dive deeper into your bond with him.
So I think we shared everything. I don't think there's anything on the earth which is left out, because the twin sibling bond, and good part was that he was just 14 minutes elder to me, right? But some of the scenes wherein I generally used to scum, right? He was a very, as I mentioned, that he was a go-getter, and it was once he's taken a decision, or once he's thought of ki mane ye karna hai to karna hai. As I mentioned, there's no looking back for him. Some of the very beautiful incidences have been more to do with around sports, right? We started playing table tennis when we were just in class 5. We represented our school in All India Nationals. He represented in 1990. I represented in 1991. So there was a time, okay, let me tell you a very funny incident. सो क्या होता है कि अब जब छोटे होते हैं तो हमारा बॉन्ड तो होता है, बट कहते हैं कि अगर एक की पिटाई हो रही है तो दूसरे को मजा आता है तो पिट कर आया है, सो दैट व्हेन यू बैक होम यू कैन एक्चुअली टीज द अदर वन, राइट? सो जब हम दोनों छोटे थे एंड आई थिंक वी वर इन क्लास 7th और 8th, तो हम दोनों में से कभी भी कोई किसी के पिट के आता था, अगर किसी फ्रेंड से लड़ाई होगी या ग्रुप में कोई लड़ाई होगी ना, तो घर में आके वी यूज्ड टू टेल मॉम एंड डैड, अरे ये देखो ये आज पिट कर आया है। तो दीदी को भी एक दीदी के सामने बहुत एक दूसरे को टीज करते होते थे। सो हमारी बड़ी दीदी ने एक बार हमको बोला, वी बोथ इन क्लास 8, यार तुम दोनों ट्विंस हो, जब तुमको एक को पिटाई होती है ना तो दूसरे को देखना नहीं चाहिए, दूसरे को साथ में पकड़ के पीटना चाहिए, या द टू ऑफ यू हैव टू बी टुगेदर, यू ब्रदर्स। एंड आई थिंक दैट वाज द टाइम व्हेन आवर फिलॉसफी ऑफ लाइफ चेंज्ड, दैट नोबडी कुड टच अस। अगर एक का पंगा हुआ तो दूसरा विल आल्सो यूज्ड टू गेट into a fight with, and we used to beat the people together, right? Second was, once it had happened that हमारा ना dad was a little strict with respect to our studies, so हमारा fixed time होता था, and I think you girls would not even have been born. तो शाम को प्रोग्राम आता था चित्रहार करके, जहाँ सॉन्ग्स आते होते थे, राइट? और of course I'm not talking the PVC we started watching when I think we were in class 5th or 6th, I think that was 87 88, but I'm talking 92 91 92 के आसपास। तो हमारा फिक्स था कि डैड ने बोला हुआ था तुमको 2 घंटे मिलेंगे शाम को, either you go play table tennis and or you watch TV, और 2 घंटे means 2 घंटे, there's nothing beyond. Dad was strict, dad was a principal, mom was a teacher। तो एक बार क्या हुआ कि हम क्लब से लेट हो गए, we used to go to Param Vir Chakra, और हमको क्या किया, डैड मॉम ने हमारा ग्रिल का गेट होता था वो बंद कर दिया, और हमारे घर के सामने ही बिल्कुल ना एक छोटी सी कैनाल होती थी, उसकी एक वॉल बनी हुई थी। तो डैड मॉम ने बोला कि तुम आज दोनों बाहर रहोगे, वॉल पे जाके बैठ जाओ तुम दोनों। हम भी बिल्कुल सामने जाके वॉल पे बैठ गए। तो मम्मा थोड़ी देर बाद आ रही थी, देख रही है कि हम दोनों बैठे हुए कि नहीं बैठे हैं। इट वाज डार्क, आई थिंक इट वाज द विंटर सीजन, इट वाज समवेयर इन अक्टूबर इफ आई रिमेंबर इट विविडली। और मम्मा थोड़ी देर बाद आए, 5 मिनट का देखे कि कहीं गए तो नहीं, और एक बार कि हम दोनों गायब हो गए थोड़ी देर के बाद। And we went and stayed overnight at one of our friends' place, and they kept on searching the whole night. उनको पता नहीं लगा कि हम दोनों कहाँ गए। And the next day morning when we came back, हमारी इतनी पिटाई हुई, इतनी धुलाई हुई, उसके बाद से डैड ने हमको डांटना बंद कर दिया कि ऐसे होता था। And a lot of times it used to happen that if somebody has scored lesser marks in the class, for example, and I'm sure you would relate to it in school days when you used to get the rankings, right? When you get the report card, and if there 40 students in the class, so you ranked 1 to 40. I don't know how the system today, but during our times they used to be ranking, so we were good in studies also, so we used to be among the top 10 students in the class even in terms of our studies. तो क्या होता था कि एक सब्जेक्ट में फेल हो गए, तो we used to talk to each other कि अब हम ना घर पे जाके नहीं बताएंगे कि तू एक सब्जेक्ट पे फेल हुआ है, मैं एक सब्जेक्ट पे फेल हुआ। The secrets used to be more around studies rather than anything to do with the sports or doing a lot of masti around. क्लास में अगर किसी की एक दिन पिटाई हो गई है फॉर एग्जांपल, तो पहले तो होता था कि चलो जाके क्लास में बताएंगे, घर पे जाके बताएंगे आज की पिटाई तो बहुत मार पड़ती है। तो अगर किसी को टीचर से थप्पड़ पड़ा है, या हमारे प्रिंसिपल होते थे, अगर हमको बाई चांस कभी पनिशमेंट भी मिलती थी, तो क्या होता था कि क्लास के बाहर टीचर ने करके आपको मुर्गा बना दिया। इट लिटरली यूज्ड टू हैपन इन आवर स्कूल, राइट? सो दोस वर द सीक्रेट्स वी नेवर यूज्ड टू गो एंड शेयर विद आवर सिस्टर्स और आवर मॉम एंड डैड। सो वी हैड अ वेरी a funny and a very lively childhood. And these are some of the incidences I can relate to.
That's so wholesome.
And have you ever been got scolded because of Vikramji or otherwise because they confused you?
Oh yes, lot of times. It happened a lot of times when teachers used to give us the homework during school once during that time. Once or twice it happened during that time. We both were also into the martial arts. We were in class 11th, and in karate your guru's called as sampai, right? That's a guru. So हम स्कूल में थे, and it was I think 9:30 10 in the morning, immediately after the morning prayers, and of course we had a full club who had come down to give the demonstration. So brown belt is senior to the green belt, and that was the only sport where I was ahead of Vikram. So हमारे गुरु ने मुझे बोला कि विशाल, why don't you go and get some 3 or 4 bricks, क्योंकि martial art में typically you put in a stack of the bricks and then you break it by punching it around. So मैंने विक्रम को बोला, विक्रम, go and get the bricks, because martial art में also there's a lot of discipline you have to follow. Your senior is a senior, even one day senior in the academy is a senior, like typically in the forces. So विक्रम बोला, अरे जाके लेकर आना कुछ, तो मुझे क्यों बोल रहा है? मैंने कहा no, you go and get it. कहता तू ले आना यार जाके। So मैंने कहा चल ठीक है यार, भाई तो है। मैं गया और मैंने I didn't find it around. So what I did, I broke the school fence, I took out 4 bricks and got it. And someone, when I was getting it, the senpai saw it. तो senpai को बहुत गुस्सा आया. उनको लगा यार ये कितने बेवकूफ लड़के हैं कि इनके स्कूल में हम डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन देने के लिए आए हुए हैं और ये डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन देने के बजाय स्कूल का डिसिप्लिन खराब कर रहे हैं. एंड मैं थोड़ा पीछे आ रहा था, ब्रिक्स मेरे हाथ में थी, विक्रम आगे था, एंड senpai को पता नहीं क्या हुआ, immediately spanked Vikram hard. And Vikram was, senpai क्या हुआ? Why are you hitting me? You guys don't understand. You are here for a we are here for a demonstration. You're breaking the school discipline. कहता senpai हुआ क्या? I told you to get bricks and you're breaking the school fence. कहता सर मुझे क्यों मारे हो? Vishal is doing it. Then he looked at me. Then he wondered, should I slap him also? But then of course Vikram had already got a slap. So some of these, a lot of incidences used to happen. I think these are very common. But that was only, I think till the time we were in class 9th or 10th, because the moment you started growing, of course, then your height and everything also changes. So, but jab chote the, I think until mid school, I think a lot of times it would have happened.
That's so wholesome and funny at the same time.
And out of the two of you, who was better at sports and who was better at studies?
So I'll tell you, sportsman Vikram was better, right? We ended up clashing in semi-finals a lot of times. When we got selected for the nationals also, we ended up, clashing with each other in the quarterfinals or semi-finals. I lost to him. Once in the state level it happened that I lost him in the semi-finals. In the district championship, I lost him in the semi-finals. In the private club trophies, a lot of times I lost to him. In studies, of course, I was slightly better. In fact, we used to cheat a lot. Hamara Vikram Vishal naam tha, so hamare last mein roll number hote the. So a lot of time, because there's no name with the X and Y, to be honest. Y could still be the choice, but there was no name. I don't think we had anybody in the class whose name with the alphabet, X or Z. तो बहुत बार ऐसा होता था कि we used to study in parts. कि अगर 10 चैप्टर में विक्रम तू 4 कर ले, मैं 4 कर लेता हूँ, ऊपर नीचे शीट चेंज करेंगे. वो हमने बहुत किया, to be very honest. In fact, even during our college days, and I think it was वो midterm exam होते हैं. I was doing my commerce, Vikram was doing his a bachelor's in sciences. और so Vikram was preparing for this अपना CDS का exam. I was also writing, but I was better prepared because I was better in studies. So Vikram कहता यार मेरी ना studies नहीं हो रही, तो एक काम कर, I'll start taking my coaching, you write my exams. And आप मान सकते हो उसके midterm 3 exam मैंने लिखे थे. I was a commerce graduate. I wrote his botany, zoology and chemistry का exam. So we used to do a lot of such stuff. Right? Fortunately क्या होता था कि since we were identical, तो कुछ नहीं, आपने एक photo निकाला, दूसरे के iCard में लगा लिया, चलो, the job is done. So a lot of such, and we used to enjoy doing that, no scare of anything. But I think sportsmen, of course, I'll give the credit to him. We used to compete a lot with each other. A lot means a lot, but that was always in the right competitive spirit. Because हमको ये होता था, चलो अगर first भी आ गए, second भी आ गए, दोनों trophies घर आएंगी. End motto ये होता था कि अगर विक्रम मेरे से जीत गया तो भी trophy घर आएगी और मैं जीत गया तो भी trophy घर आएगी. So that was always the luxury between the two of us.
Also, coming to the next question, like you earlier mentioned that you only say that the physical presence is gone and you still feel him even today. His soul is still with you. So what are these moments where you feel his presence the most? And how did your perspective on death changed after that incident?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll tell you, why do I say that I feel him around is because that's the only, he's the only inspiration I've ever got really inspired with, because at the age of 24, being a twin sibling, I had never thought that, he would reach such greater heights, to be very honest with you. And why do I believe so is that we dreamt of joining the forces together. All right, we went for our first SSB together. It's a different thing that destiny had something else in store for me, and despite my 3 attempts, I was not recommended by the board. So why do I believe that he's always around with me? Because we dreamt of this dream together. We went for our SSB together, and when we made it for the first SSB, I was the first person who got to know of his news. So somewhere I think that's something which is very, very personal to me, because that's something which could not be separated while we had dreamt together. But we were happy that at least out of the 2 twins who went for their SSB together, one of us made it. Right. So somehow I connect with that somewhere my connect was there, right? Is there. Out of the overall friends I would have, even if you check my telephone directory, 50% of my mobile numbers will be only for the army officers. Now, they could be either Vikram's classmate, or they could be our classmates during our school or our college, right? Or my MBA friends. When I did my MBA, because some of my friends joined the forces even post doing their management, right? So somewhere that connect of the forces has never gone. And I can say it with the pride. Fortunately, now I've been working with bank for the last 21 years. I work for ICICI Bank as a retail business head, and I also head the the national. As I also I'm also the national manager for the defense relationship for the bank. So somehow my connect with the defense is not gone. So I end up believing that could be that my dream of donning the uniform couldn't come true, but my dream of serving the man who donned the uniform is still alive. And a lot of credit and I think the respect comes from me because I'd seen Vikram in the uniform first, when he passed out on 6th of December. Right. Coming down to your second question, the fear of death, of course, what happens is when you lose somebody who's very, very close to you at such an early age. So I think death teaches you a lot of perspectives. And I think my perspective of life changed that death is the ultimate truth. It has to happen to everybody around. And while Vikram went, early, but if you look in reality, it's been 22 years. Why we are live today on the chat? Because you're also remembering him. You heard his saga of his bravery and courage, right? So I believe that his death taught me that how you have to keep on moving in life because the life doesn't stop, right? And no matter, we have to go. So make it a point that do your bit, do your best in the life, and whatever the circumstances are, as a human being, you will always have the ability to fight those odds or those challenges. And why do I relate to this so closely is because in the last letter, which Vikram had written to me, which was written on 5th of July, just 2 days before he was martyred. And at that point of time, I was struggling in my career, right? And let me tell you, I was appearing for my banking interviews. And my last interaction with Vikram, as I mentioned earlier, was on 9th of March. And that time I had shared with Vikram that I'm trying for banking because having done my specialization in finance, I was working for a non-banking finance company, but I was not very happy. और विक्रम ने मेरे को पूछा तू कहाँ try कर रहा है? So I, at that point of time, of course, I took the names of some of the banks. I'm talking 23 years back now, 99. तो विक्रम को ये नहीं idea था कि मेरा selection हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है. And you won't believe it that fighting a war at 17,000 feet, he was definitely focused that what is the mission in front of him. But somewhere in the back of his mind, he had never forgotten that I'm trying. And you know what he had written? He had written, I know you have all the potential to do very well in life. Keep on doing your bit. And let me tell you, God is looking at everyone. Keep doing your bit. And one day you would realize that you're the most happiest person on this earth. So I thought, one way he has an objective of, leading the mission, capturing the peak, ensuring the safety of his fellow men. But somewhere he also has that concern that everybody back home is fine. He's even bothered for my own career, that my brother's career is going good. So I believe that, in the face of the deaths also, he had all those, I think, qualities to display as a leader. And that made it the ultimate truth. Whatever has to happen. You can't change the destiny. So face the world with all the might. And that really changed my, fear of death. And I think it's enough, and I'm moving ahead. And somewhere I still believe that, God has been kind. I'm doing very, 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 very well in my corporate career. And somewhere I believe that I think it's his blessing which is coming right from the top that he's watching that, of course, Kush is doing well. And then I have my own, own responsibility also to never let him down. Because as I mentioned, that I never feel that he's not around me. It's only just physically not around me. So I have to prove it that Vikram, you were right. And I'm there with you.
That's a beautiful perspective. And I think we can make out so much of how strong of a leader he was by everything that you just mentioned. So thank you. Yeah. So Vishal ji, we have one final question for you.
Sure.
That is that if Captain Vikram Batra ji was here today, so what do you think his number one message would be to the Indian audience or to the youth of the country, especially on an occasion like Republic Day?
mm, I believe, he was a true patriot, right? And to me, I think his message could have been, I'll only mere guess it, is that, there are times when we remember each of these men in the uniform who do so much for the country during very, very special days like a 15th August or a 26th of January. Whereas in reality, I think we should remember the soldiers who lay down their life for the country every now and then. I think the saga and bravery of each of these people, right from Captain Vikram Batra to Captain Manoj Pandey to Vijay Thapar to Anuj Nayyar, I think he would have definitely wanted every Indian to read about the bravery of each of these people who's guarding our border so well, so that we can sleep peacefully, right? There's a very beautiful saying, I'm sure you would have heard of it. When you go home, tell them of us, we gave her today for your tomorrow. I'm sure he would have conveyed the same message, that we should not be forgetting our soldiers, because of whom, we can breathe very, very safe. We are safe in this country. I believe so that this would have been the message from his side also.
That's beautiful. And we took so much away from this conversation that we have with you. And we're going to do our best to make sure that we live up to what every army person is doing out there to protect our lives.
So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, Vishal sir. Like, you joining us means the world to us, and you were so kind and generous enough to respond to our emails and even come today and share his story. And I'm sure we took so much away from it. So thank you so much.
God bless you. Thank you so much, both of you. God bless you. And goodbye to your friend also. And God bless you. Do well, right? ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤੇਰੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਯਾਰਾ ਮੈਥੋਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਮਨ ਪਰੇ